Welcome. Welcome to the 999 show after church chat. This is recorded on June 6th, I believe. I have company over on the weekend, so I'm not going to be able to do one live. But anyways, I kind of want to talk about my concerns for our planet, for our home, this place that we live. My concerns that we as a human people are not doing our job as a caretaker of this place. And every year now, ever since I moved back down to my childhood home in 2011. It was September 2011. That every year there's been noticeable changes in the amount of birds that are here and the insects. And like, for instance, last year I didn't plant a garden, or I tried. Last year I didn't see any slugs. I had slug bait, and because like the year before, 2 years before that, there were just massive amounts of slugs, and there were massive amounts of insects and all kinds of things. But something happened in the last couple of years where there's been a even greater than normal, or if you call it normal, a greater decrease in the amount of insects, in the amount of other wildlife too, like field mice, for instance, or other creatures. And if I were to go, and I will show you here in my garden space over here, you can just look over it and you can just see how few insects there are. And this really concerns me. And so the other day that I did one of these, and I talked about how scary things are, because it's how scary things are that the ground is so dry. The grass it's just still spring, and the grass is starting to turn. And I showed you on the hillside how lackluster that industrial field was, and how little ground, how dry the soil is, and how dry everything is. And it's just June. It's just barely even June, and this all started a few weeks ago, and everything is advanced by about a month, 2 weeks to a month right now. And so my concerns for our home are greater than my political concerns for my country. I am concerned about the country. I'm concerned about the direction, and I'm concerned about, how a political party is trying to put the toothpaste back in the tube and trying to roll the clock back to before the New Deal, to roll it on back to where they say it was the glory days of the Union, when the federal government only funded military. And they didn't take out any taxes for the robber barons and things like that. And there was unlimited amount of corruption in the political class. And let's just go back to those glory days, the golden age of America, the golden age of corruption. But that's not what we're talking about here. What we're talking about, and I guess I just said my piece, that it's very concerning about how you can see the collapse of insect species and bird species happening right before our eyes. And the other day when I was mowing the lawn, I saw just two bumblebees out, just two. There's a couple yellow jackets, and there should be more yellow jackets, but it's like we're entering into a desolate world. Yes, there's green grass. Yes, there's green trees. Yes, there is wildlife that feeds off of other wildlife. There's lots of crows. There's lots of hawks. There's wild turkeys. There are quail. There are vultures. Bottom feeders. There's a few mice. There's a few of the creatures that live off of the human waste, that live off our garbage. Those creatures are all here. Once a month, every other month, I think I see Mr. Possum coming around. Once every other month, there's Mr. Raccoon. I see Mr. Raccoon come around. I see the deer. And then in the late summer, I'll see the elk. And there's a bumblebee over there. I see it going by. But it's not like how it was when I was a kid. How much different that was. I mean, that's like 30 years ago when I was a kid. 17. Almost 40 years ago when I was a kid. And you'd be driving down the road, and in certain times of the year, you might have to stop 3 or 4 times to wipe the insects off your windshield, because there'd be just swarms of these creatures, just swarms of insects all around. And now, you're lucky if you drive 100 miles and one insect strikes your windshield. I mean, for people who aren't concerned about these things, I don't really understand. I don't understand. But I know people are concerned about different things. If you're just always concerned about the economics, and then you're using your bug killers and your Roundup, and you're using all these chemicals, and completely oblivious to the fact that life is collapsing all around us. Now, of course, as spiritual beings and all that, maybe we shouldn't concern ourselves with that, but in the Genesis stories, in the creation stories, that mankind is the caretakers of the garden, the caretakers of creation. And I just don't think we're doing a very good job. I don't know about you, but that's really all I got to say today. We'll talk to you the next time. Bye-bye. I don't much care for creatures that don't have arms or legs, but perhaps this snake is a metaphor for the serpent in the Garden of Eden, the serpent that tempted Adam and Eve.